welcome back to the LittleFernFibers Knitting and Crafting Podcast. This is episode number 2. I did decide to record again. I was a little unsure of whether or not I would want to, but I've been really excited to, and I was happily surprised by that. I would like to continue this and keep going, and it was cool to see a few people watched it and subscribed, which was really cool too. This was just kind of like for myself to have a space to talk about the things that I'm working on, but if people want to follow along, that's really encouraging too, and it's fun to kind of see what other people are doing and you know, be able to do a kind of a back and forth encouragement that way. So thank you if you are watching it. That's really exciting, and it really does kind of keep me motivated to keep this space and keep projects going. And so my name is Ellie, and like I said before, I was kind of using the podcast as a way to kind of hone in my thoughts about all my projects. Lots of times I have so many things that I want to make and so many things I have in the works that to kind of sit down and talk about it all gives me a little perspective on like what I want to work on now, maybe what I want to plan for, what I should probably pick up and finish, and just what gets me excited to keep going. So we are expecting another little girl this fall, and it's a good way for me to have time to get all of like my crafting and creative energy out too, to talk about it. And so I hope to keep doing it as much as I can when she is born and life probably gets extremely crazy. But I think it'll be maybe good for, hopefully, just to find time, quiet time to do this every once in a while. So I do hope to keep going. But the last time, I suppose we'll just kind of jump right into things. I was working on a swatch for the Wool and Honey sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I was just finishing up this swatch, and I ended up getting pretty close to gauge. I think like my row gauge was maybe off, but I wasn't too concerned about that, and I've been knitting on it like crazy just because it was I was a little intimidated by the pattern. Not that I wasn't comfortable with like doing drop stitches, but I had also never done a drop shoulder pattern, which I know that's probably easier than raglan, but I didn't know what to expect or how I would like doing the honeycomb pattern that is such a cool motif. But I've actually found it super rhythmic, like doing all of the honeycombs where it's really rhythmic. It was easy to kind of predict what was next after you did a couple sections, and to find mistakes, like if I was off or I wasn't, you know, putting the stitch in the right spot as I picked up the elongated stitch. It was really rhythmic, and I think it went fairly quickly. So I just separated for the sleeves. We had a little road trip over the weekend, Adam and I, and I did a lot of car knitting, and I was able to separate for the sleeves. So I've been working on the body now, and I'm really pleased with it. I tried it on. I hope it's gonna be kind of the fit I was hoping for. I want it to be baggier, but not still have like wiggle room, and maybe I'm thinking about kind of not cinching it in more at the bottom, but using like the rib at the bottom to kind of cinch it in. I've seen other people's projects do that, and I kind of like the look of that. But here's what I have so far. I'm using, this was just stash yarn, and I have enough of it. I think it's Cloudborn. I think it's Cloudborn Highland fingering, maybe, and I've used it in other projects, and I like how it works up. I think it's drapey and it's pretty soft, so I think it'll be good for this motif and the boxy kind of drop shoulder look. I of course the mistakes that I made, which I know you only point out the mistakes, or people only notice them when they're pointed out, but they're right in the front. And I don't know what I did here, but I tried to go back and, you know, re-pick up the stitches like a drop stitch and tried to figure out what was going on. I don't know. I think I seriously spent like an hour, and I think I just ended up kind of getting the yarn a little too worked and like fuzzy in it. I'm hoping that will block out, and then I have really had it in the back of my mind that I should get more comfortable with continental knitting. I'm an English knitter, so throwing the yarn over, I've always done that. I find it really relaxing, and like I love that rhythm, and I can, you know, do it while walking and like while watching or reading, and I could, you know, do with my eyes closed. I've done it so much, and same with purling. But I have had trouble over the years with wrist pain, so I figured this would be a good project to like hone in on the continental knitting, especially because every row you're doing, it's a knit and a purl and a knit, purl and a purl. So I thought this would be a good project to really do that. So I did it, and of course it's on the front, but you can see there's like a jog where I was doing it and my tension was off. So I only did the continental, and I was doing like Norwegian continental, so you know, where there's really, you're kind of holding your finger down, not moving it as you tension the yarn. And I can do it, and I can do the purl moves, it's just my tension isn't there, like not at all. So I didn't notice it until, I don't know, maybe an inch passed, and I'm just gonna leave it. I figure maybe bees aren't perfect, so their honeycombs might not be, well, maybe they are perfect, I don't know. Anyways, it was tension issues, and maybe I can block it out, but oh well, we'll chalk it up as trying. So I'm gonna keep doing English style on this, just because with it being a fingering weight yarn project, that's a lot of work and a lot of knitting to put in, and I don't want it to look super wonky. I just need to take the time to you know, really learn it and feel comfortable with it, because it's not a natural feeling to me. Like my arms or my wrists does get sore even while trying to do continental. So I just need to take the time to figure that out. It's just like with a toddler and another baby on the way, like knitting time is really precious, and I try to always kind of like have it with me, small projects like when I'm playing with her. And but I feel like every stitch counts, so to like do continental knitting when my tension isn't there in a big project, like I don't want to like waste those stitches, if that makes sense. But that's what I've been doing, and there's another project that I'm working on that I just cast on that I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do at least the knitting continental style for that. And my wrists haven't been bad. I'm a massage therapist, not currently, because I do stay at home with my daughter, but I'm a massage therapist, so it's a lot of hand movements, and when I do probably not take enough breaks during knitting, I can feel it. And there was a time a couple of years ago where I was doing some knitting for a project in conjunction with the International Wolf Center. Maybe if people are interested, I can talk about that. But it was spinning wolf fiber and then knitting it into projects, and you have like, you know, a finite time until there's this auction. So I was knitting and spinning like crazy, and that really brought on a lot of pain too. And so I was really concerned with that, and I was working at the time and trying to kind of figure out if it was from like a past injury that I had had, but I think there were carpal tunnel issues, but I think it was just overuse, you know, repetitive strain. And I have had that a little bit in the meantime, but not as bad. I just feel like with continental knitting, people say that, you know, it's quicker, you're not doing as much movements, but I don't know, I don't find that I enjoy it as much as the normal English knitting that I do. But either way, I've kind of like learned to deal with that and take breaks when I do start to get pain, or I use like an ice brace a lot. I don't know if like anybody else does that, just, you know, ice it a couple times a day. Or one of my favorite stretches for knitting pain is kind of like a nerve floss, where you literally make an OK sign. You put your hands, your fingers down on your face, and you're stretching. Like with my shoulder dropped, I'm stretching out my nerves, like the median nerve, and that feels really good. And then like lengthening, still having that OK sign with my shoulder dropped, like I can feel it tingling in my fingers, and like I'll stretch my head to the side and then rotate my hands up. And that was a stretch that when I was really having trouble, I think made the most difference. So if you do have pain like that, that might be something, a stretch to try. I was really excited for this project to get to binding off for, or separating for the sleeves, because it was a very great surprise. But Adam, I don't know if I put him in here, my husband Adam, he's such a good listener. I had no idea it was like such a big surprise, but my birthday was a few weeks ago, and he got me a set of ChiaoGoo Shorties, which I have had my eye on for such a long time. And I know that using double points often make my hands feel kind of sore and crampy, and that can be a big culprit. So I was really eager to try these circular needles, and I'm so excited to start using them. So I actually did use a few of them, and when I just wanted to like try it on the sleeve, and they're great. It's the size 4 all the way up to the size 8, or the 3.5 to the 5 millimeter. So that was like such an exciting gift, and I'm so excited to have projects to work on with these. So I can't wait to get started on the sleeves and use them. And I'm so tempted to kind of look at the smaller size needles, like for socks. I'm not a sock knitter, but I feel like a big part of that is because of the DPN use. Like I'm nervous for my hands to be crampy, and I think that's why I don't enjoy knitting socks. And I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm tempted to maybe think about investing. I think I should like get a couple pairs of socks out of the way, hence a project I just cast on, but maybe getting, I don't know, I've been looking at like the Highland Shorties, where it's just like 3 pairs. I think it's like the 1s, 2s, and 3s, or 0, 1, and 2, but I don't know, I kind of want to maybe try those. Maybe that would like up my sock game, because I would like to be a sock knitter. I'm just not. But maybe that would, I would enjoy it more. And speaking of the socks, I cast on, I've literally only knit ever 1 pair of socks, and it's the socks that I just darned them, and I think I have them in here too. But I just cast on my 2nd pair. I've been knitting for lots and lots of years, like ever since I was little, and I just haven't done socks. But these I'm gonna try. I have double points right now. I figure I need to get some 1 pair in before I can like justify investing in some circular sock needles. So these are made from the, I don't know, it's Regia, and it's the design line for Arne and Carlos. I love them. I love watching their podcast if you haven't checked them out, but it's like a self-striping, you know, self-color work ball of yarn, and I've had this in my stash for a while, and I always wanted to set it aside for a pair of socks, so I'm sitting down with them, and I'm gonna try. It's the Belter stock color edition 3. I don't know, but I'm really enjoying how it's working up. It's like a little surprise to see how the colors kind of come. I'm following a pattern that I Googled, like, you know, the Regia design line 4-ply sock pattern, and it was just a quick pattern that I found. So I started these a couple of days ago, and it's fun to see the color work. And these I am trying to solely do continental knitting, and so like the tension doesn't look that crazy. I mean, it looks fairly even. It does not remotely look like, you know, maybe because it's a smaller needle size, smaller yarn, I'm not sure, but this poor thing sure got like the brunt of that. But I figure since it's an Arne and Carlos yarn, I'm gonna do, I learned like their Norwegian style of purling and knitting by watching their videos. Like I knew that that's how I wanted to learn continental knitting, or by doing their style. If you're interested, they have a few videos where they both, they show techniques, they each do it. So it's kind of a fun way to get the feel for it. But I've been doing it. I've been enjoying it. I feel like it's going fairly quickly. Maybe I need to give socks more credit. Usually I feel like I don't want to spend the time for socks, but I have, my mother-in-law knits a lot of socks as Christmas presents, and so I've gotten those over here, and those are my favorite socks. So I figure I need to like get into that too. So I have these going, and I've been carrying around both of these projects in a project bag that I received from my sister as a birthday present, and it's so cool. It's great. I also received a project bag from my mother-in-law that she sewed for me, so I'll have to show that next time. But this is a beautiful waxed canvas project bag with leather handles, and it's big and it's roomy, and it was by I think he's out of Atlanta, and they're handcrafted, and it's on Etsy. She got it, and the brand is Magner. You can see that, Magner, Athens, Georgia. Okay, out of Athens, Georgia. And it's a beautiful design. There's these little cinch straps so you can just cinch it up. I've been using it to, I've been going on walks at night and knitting with can use it for that. And it's just like really durable. I'm like not scared to get it dirty. I feel like it's so well made. There's some pockets in here and some little rivets for having color work, and a little zipper pocket and some pockets here and here, and it's just super roomy but not huge. And I have a little, I don't know, in some of my project bags I always put like a little cedar ball or an essential oil sachet or something. I like to have that in there. But it's been so fun to carry around, and it's bright, and I love the color, and it was such a great gift to receive. So I was so excited to receive that and now to use it. I feel like I've been enjoying the projects as I knit them out of there. What else? Oh, I think I have the socks in here that I talked about darning the last time, and I used, so my husband Adam does wood turning, and he wood turns lots of bird eggs. He like really enjoys, I think there's a couple more up there that I should grab, but like all different sizes. And he liked some of them, he'll like try to like base on the actual specs of birds, so like a really teeny tiny cardinal egg, and they're beautiful. He does them out of all different wood, but this is one that he turned, and they're so smooth and pretty, and sometimes he'll make like little stands, and he has them in he has an Etsy store, and I think he has them in there right now. But I wanted to darn a pair of socks. This is the one pair of socks I've ever knit. And if I seem out of breath, I'm getting to the 3rd trimester, so I feel like everything's like up here. But this is the pair that I darned. There was kind of like a little shabbiness and a hole was just starting to form. So I just used some scrap colorful yarn that I had, and I just did like a weave darn, like where you, and I had a few people like ask about it. I just found the egg size that I wanted, stuck it in, and then it created a really nice surface to work from. I just kind of scrunched the stitches around and then used you know, a pretty blunt darning needle to just make, oh, I don't know really anything about weaving. I don't know, make I'm not sure what it's called, the weft? I don't know, but where you kind of like make a parallel lines to base your stitches off, and then you just go back through and weave over, under, and then switch it for the next row, and then kind of cinch it all together. If people are like really interested, there's lots of videos. I just found like a video, and I mean, I'm happy to do, and if people really want, but I know there's lots on there. And the egg actually worked out perfectly. It was really fun to use, and like I think Adam was super jazzed that they came in handy in a way that he wasn't expecting. Or he never, I don't know, I don't think he ever considered them, me using one as a darning egg, but it worked out great, and I'm kind of hopeful for another hole in my socks, so to do it again, because it was really fun, and I like how it turned out. So I did those, and I know last time I talked about like washing all my sweaters, and I have that all finished, and that was like a nice thing to get done. I just soaked everything, warm water. I didn't really have anything that needed to be blacked, and I was just using wool soak, and then kind of every day I would just try to do one sweater, and if it needed any patching, there's still a few I need to like patch and things. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, but I've just been storing them away, and I use little in my like knitting storage. I have my sweaters in there right now since it's summer, and I have these little cedar, like ends of cedar boards, just like the grain ends that Adam cuts off for projects, and it's aromatic cedar, and I just kind of stick those in with my sweaters, or I put like a little screw on top. I mean, they're thin, and I should just go get one. Yeah, I'm gonna go get one. Not that I've ever had like moth issues. I'm just like really nervous about it. One time I did buy raw wool for spinning, and it came with moss, and if anything, I'm nervous about that, but it wasn't an issue. But I do like to it's just a cedar end of something that he cut off, and I just put a little eye hook and then a little string, and I'll just like hang this in my closet, or I have a few like in my yarn cabinet, and I stick some in the little box that I have my sweaters in, and just because it smells good. And but that's a good, I don't know, little trick if you need something like that. And I feel like this is a time of year, I feel like a lot of people say that they like lose their knitting, I don't know, energy, but I feel like I really like gear up. Because I'm anticipating fall, and like if fall could start June 1st, I'd be more than ready. I like the winter months so much more. I like winter food more, I like winter clothes more. I love having 4 seasons. It makes me appreciate everything, but I'm already looking forward to colder weather. But either way, I feel like this time of year in summer, like I want to have things ready for fall. I want to have like projects ready for fall, and maybe it's because of the anticipation of the baby girl this fall, but I have wanted to have projects like ready to go, like have the yarn, have the pattern that I want picked out, so that when the time comes, like I know I won't have a lot of time or like brain space to give those decisions the time that they need. Does that make sense? And so I have decided on a few patterns, like kind of bigger projects, sweater projects, that I wanted to get the yarn for and have, that I wanted to knit for a long time. So I know I'm going to use those, you know, use the yarn for those patterns specifically. But so I do have two new yarn purchases that I made that I'm really excited about, and one of them is for Fiber Tales. Her name is Larka, and she has a knitting podcast. She's so lovely to follow. I really look forward to all of the things that she puts out in her patterns and her videos. And she came out with, I think over winter, she came out with the Morel sweater. Beautiful, kind of like cherry cable designs, a little bit boxier, and I really liked the look of it. And I kind of wanted to do a sweater that was going to be baggier, so I think I chose maybe like a size 3 for it. And somebody who test knitted for her did it in Plotulopi, and I have never worked with Plotulopi yet. A lot of the people that I follow do. I think it's like a really, you know, people are just, I think, really excited about now. And it's cool that rustic yarns are becoming, you know, a big part of the knitting community, and people are sharing that and getting excited about it. So I've used Lopi, and I love that. I don't mind. I like the rustic wools, and I think because it's close to yarns that I can spin, so I like that feel. But I got 3 cakes of Plotulopi. I haven't opened them yet because I'm not quite ready. I figure I'll enjoy the opening process when I'm ready to go and do a swatch. But yeah, I got 3 plates of it, and it's unspun fiber. I'm sure you've probably heard of it, and if not, unspun fiber is it's Icelandic wool and unspun, so meaning it's super, you can just pull it apart. The fibers are lined up, but you can really just pull it apart, and I think it'll be, you know, a lot of people split splice to get things back together or to connect the yarn. But I've been really itching to knit with this, and I'm so excited. And it's going to be for the Morel sweater, so I don't know. I think I'm going to cast it on after I finish the wool and honey sweater, partly because it's a bigger weight yarn, and I think I need to take a break from a fingering weight sweater. I was thinking I was going to do my next project fully in continental knitting, but I don't think that's a smart idea with unspun fiber, because I know I have really loose tension holding the yarn in my right hand. Like I barely hold it, but my tension is even, so I don't want to, I know it's going to be a learning curve using this yarn anyway, and I think I'm just going to stick with the English knitting. But this was really exciting, and I got it in the color, what was the color? Oh, I don't know, Beige Heather maybe? I'll put it down, the things that I talk about, I'll put it in the description box below, and I'll include the color, but I think it's a great color. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's like a beautiful oatmeal-y gray, dark and light, and very rustic looking. So I'm super excited about that. That was really fun. And then I also got yarn for the Birkin sweater by Caitlin Hunter. I've had my eye on that for a while. I love the color work on the yoke, and I decided to just go for it. I picked a palette that I'm really excited about. I just got Knit Picks palette yarn. I've used it before and I really like it, and I had a skein that I wanted to use for like the leaf motif that's in the yoke, and it's just this kind of like green, light green. It's called Seagrass, and so I kind of base everything around this, but this was Coriander Heather I'm going to use as the base. It's kind of like a it's the same as the Morel sweater, kind of, the Plotulopi. It's kind of like a oatmeal-y, sandy beige, and so I got a hefty amount of skeins for the base, and then the seagrass is going to be in there, and then I got a Victorian colorway. It's kind of a rosy, blushy, not a typical color that I would choose, but I think all of these together are gonna go well. And then, so I think this will be for like one of the little flower motifs. And then the color Bouquet Heather, which is kind of a marbled variant, almost like greeny, purpley, browny, but really pretty. I'm excited. I wasn't gonna choose that one, but I think that one kind of brings it all together, actually. And then the last color that I chose for it, oh god, I'm bending down, it's hard. Okay, the last color is Brass Heather, which, like, if I could pick a color in a nutshell, it would be these honey, caramel, autumn colors, earthy tones. But yeah, so these are gonna be for the Birkin sweater, and it's all fingering, so I think I'm gonna have to wait on casting it on because I'm gonna need a break from fingering weight sweater quantity after the wool and honey. But I thought those, I don't know, I'm excited about it. I don't really have a lot of like reds and purples, not that that'll be a lot, but I think those will really pop in the sweater, so I was excited about that. And I have other works in progress going that I thought maybe in other podcast episodes I could bring out and talk about. For one, the crochet cardigan that I was working on, I lost my steam. I ripped it out so many times doing the edging. I did sew the pom-pom edging on the sleeves. I'll bring it out next time. Just on the sleeves I sewed the pom-pom edging that, like, I had it in the last episode. It was like kind of, yeah, not pom-pom rickrack, but I don't know, you can get them on reels at the fabric store. So I did that on the edging, and I ripped out the bottom because I don't think it's long enough, so I'm gonna do a whole nother panel of granny squares, and then I'll do the same pom-pom sew job at the bottom too. I just have to like rip out the kind of the edging that I did that connected the you know, the neckline and the front face of the cardigan with the bottom of it. And I have to weave in all the ends, and I just lost my steam, and I really like it. It was my first crochet project. I've never crocheted before, and I liked it. I like crochet. It doesn't give me the same feeling as knitting. Nothing against crochet. I just it was fun once I got into the rhythm, but like knitting is just like a whole feeling for me. So I am excited to finish it. I'm excited to wear it. My sister is making one too, so that's like a good motivation to keep it going. It hasn't been what I've wanted to pick up lately, so that's okay. And I have another sweater that I started in winter by I hope I don't say her name do terribly, and I'm not sure if this is even how it's like spelled. There's that Junko Okamoto. Her knitwear designs are so cool. I'm doing her HANA sweater, big boxy, cabled, so many different techniques, and it's all different panels that you end up like seaming together. I'll bring that out next time. I think I was like really gung-ho about it in winter, and then I needed like mindless knitting, and that has a lot of different cable techniques and honeycomb and all different things, so I've had a break for that, but that's going too. And I always have the Beekeeper's quilt by Tiny Owl Knits going, so maybe I'll show those in other episodes if I do them, and maybe like sometimes I'll bring out things that I have worked on. One thing that I posted on Instagram, which is just LittleFernFibers, but was a project that I've been working on for a while. I started it before our daughter Fern, when I was pregnant with her like 3 years ago, and it's just it's a farm playmat, and there's not really a pattern for it. You can find not many people I found like a couple ideas like on Pinterest and on Ravelry, but it's not out there too much, or at least like full ones, so I just kind of did a lot of like piecing together, but this is it. It looks crazy. It's just a lot of like, I had old like sweaters that I took apart and sewed for the bottoms, and I would, you know, for these little like hills, I would put polyfill under it, and I literally just made it up. It was like, oh, we want some water here, sure, I'll put some water there. And I had this kind of really bobbly yarn, and I made a little like bridge, and these seriously things are just like hobbled together. It's on a rug hooking grid, like the fabric for rug hooking, like that's what everything is attached to. So there are some portions like these flowers here and things that I did do rug hooking, which I've never done before, but I did for this project. And some of it I just like woven, and there's so many ideas. Like if you look, I just kind of tried to look for like stitch ideas and things, but yeah, it's been fun to see her kind of start to play with it. Granted, like literally her playing with it is like her walking around with it by the bridge, or you know, stepping on it and acting like she's swimming in the pond or whatever. And then I just sewed on like a fabric backing. It's not by any means, I probably should have taken the time to make it nicer after putting all the work into doing this, but like, let's be real, I'm not a very good sewer. So yeah, so that's that. And I've kind of here and there been working on just like little things to add to it. There was just like a little house that I kind of made up a pattern for, and this is just polyfill that I stuck in there that gets pulled out every time she plays with it. So you have these expectations when you knit things for kids, and just I'm learning to like throw them all out the window, because here I am like pregnant, you know, making this and thinking about our daughter playing with it, and you know, quietly making animal noises, and you know, we're sitting on a, I don't know, on a sunny day, and the sun is pouring in, and we're quietly playing with this, and that's like not how it is, but it's even better because she's playing with how she wants to, and she's getting enjoyment out of it in her own way. So I'm learning to throw out those expectations, but you know, like stomping a Barbie on it or all that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of funny, the things that you think. There was like a little sheep pattern that I found, and this was just like all of this was just scrap yarn that I had, and so just like little fun animals to add. And there was little sheep or little pig friends, super quick. I and for these, like, for nothing for that I knitted for this, I worried about gauge. I just kind of like made it up and found little patterns on Ravelry, or there was a knitted farm book that I found at the library, like knitted farmland toys or something, that I got a few ideas out of, and you know, like a little pumpkin and another little pig, and I think there's another chicken, but he could be anywhere. I think he's in the kitchen, in her play kitchen right now, in a pepper canister, but I'll go look for that later. So yeah, that was a fun project that I did, and it looks crazy. It's really not, it just takes time, but a lot of this again was like scrap yarn, and it's, you know, just woven, just kind of here and there, kind of thought, this could go here, this could go there, these little stepping stones, just kind of pieced it all together. And but that was a really fun one to make. So yeah, that's it. I think I might bring out like older projects, because I'm not good at documenting those on like Ravelry, although I wish I was, but you know, old sweaters that I've done or other projects that I've made, so maybe that could be a thing to talk about in podcasts. So yeah, I have a lot I want to make. I have, yeah, so many things on the list, and the list just keeps growing, but you gotta go stitch by stitch. So but I've been really enjoying knitting lately, and I don't know, gosh, that's just like such a good feeling when you really have that like creative spark, and when, you know, you just, when you sit down and knit, it's, especially I love to knit early in the morning, so like I'll wake up super early, not super early, you know, maybe an hour before my daughter gets up and my husband's leaving for work, and just to have like that time before the day where your head is clear and, you know, there's not too many thoughts rambling around yet, and just to sit down with coffee, and it's like kind of dark out, and you're just quietly doing that is such a good way to wake up. And then usually I'll knit at night after we put her down, and maybe we'll watch a movie, or just both do our own thing, but be hanging out. And I find that knitting at the end of the day gives me time to reflect on the day and just kind of filter through the day, or filter through how I'm feeling, or, you know, just time for Adam and I to talk or whatever. But those are, knitting in the morning and at night are, how could you not want to wake up to that and end the day with that? So that's when I do like a lot of my knitting. And then during the day, sporadically, I'll just try and knit when we're, you know, bouncing around the house in the yard and doing a million things. So yeah, I think that's kind of all I'll do for now, but I was really excited to record another one. So hopefully that's in the works. I don't have like a time frame. It's hard to do with you know, how our days are with the toddler. Right now it's nap time, so it's kind of one that works and when I can kind of get things done and enough to show. So it'll just be when it is, you know, maybe every 3 weeks or so, but as long as I'm, yeah, still got things to show and things like that. So I hope wherever you are, if it's cold or if it's warm or if it's winter or if it's summer, that you have some of that knitting energy, and yeah, that you're K-in and P-in. That's what my aunt would always say for knitting and purling. Taking it one stitch at a time and finding those quiet moments when you can. So thank you for watching. I'll put the information of the patterns and things that I talked about down below. And then, like I said before, it's been nice to see that people have watched it and that's encouraging, and it's just fun to find a community to be a part of for a craft that you love so much and that you know other people love so much, and that's so fun to share, and that's so you can always keep learning. So thank you. I appreciate it, and it's been really fun to think about. So yeah, I suppose until the next time, stay well and keep knitting. Thanks. Bye.